Hey everybody, welcome back. Thanks for joining me again. So as of late, in the last few weeks or so, there have been a lot of new subscribers to the channel. Thanks for doing so and for following and for sending me your questions, comments on the videos. It's all very helpful to me to know what to talk about, especially when there's a direct question presented to me. One that comes up quite often is, as if you are watching the channel, if you are finding my videos and you're stumbling around on the internet looking for information like this, chances are you've already made up your mind about a lot of things. And so one of the questions that I get quite often is, well, what can I expect? I'm ready to leave. I've tried everything, I've done everything, I've exhausted all my efforts, and it's just not going anywhere. So what can I expect? What's going to happen from here on out? What is he going to do? He or she? How's that person going to behave? And the only answer I can think of right off the top of my head is like a freaking loon. The rage is something that you just can't prepare for it. You talk about narcissistic rage, we're all familiar with it, but once you have a foot out the door, it's at a whole new level. It's at a whole new level. Prior to that, well, along with that, and the behavior is so erratic. At least in my experience, it was just maniacal. It went from raging and ranting and raving to, we need to talk, and we just have to be together, blah blah blah. I mean, it was all over the board. And if you do manage to separate yourself from the narcissist and you don't go no contact, like I did for a while, it was kind of a ding dong, and still kept contact because I didn't know any better at the time, prepare for lots of ranting and raving and phone calls and nasty texts and you name it, just one thing after another. Still more of the hot and cold, it was just all over the place. There was no consistency. They're crazy. You just don't know where they're going to go next. It ranged from screaming at me, did you get an attorney yet? Did you file yet? To, this is wrong, this is just wrong, we need to stay together, we need to be together. None of that made sense to me. And of course, they do that, and they're going to play on your feelings. I get a lot of exchanges to the tune of, well, now that I've said I'm leaving, he or she is really being nice and really being caring and trying to change. And that doesn't last. That is just not going to last. It just doesn't happen. You can count on that stopping at some point. The things that were said to me once I was on my way out the door, actually I'd already left. I went back to get things. I had not gone no contact yet, like a ding dong. And that day that I went back was like no other. It went from screaming, calling me all kinds of names, to crying, just sitting in this pit of despair, like acting like he was suicidal, like whispering to himself. And I'm like, what is going on? He decided to tell me that day that I was the love of his life. I was floored. I think my response was, we were together for 24 years. You never told me that. Now you're telling me I'm the love of your life. In 24 years, you never said those words to me, and you've chosen to tell me now. I mean, just really, really reaching. There were things said that day, the hateful stuff I was used to. But I miss this, and I miss that, and I miss the blah, 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 and I miss the blah. I mean, just really carrying on things that I've never, ever, ever heard in my whole life. And I'm like, where is this coming from? I talked to my therapist about it, and she explained to me that he had gotten a good taste of what it was like to not have me around, not have the perks, not have the whole picture, the wife, the kids, the perfect little family, and that he was willing to do and say anything to restore that. So I was like, yep. That's exactly what that was, because the idea of him changing after so long was absurd. That's the example that I had. That's an example of what I went through and what I experienced, because on that last day that I was there picking up things and hearing things that I hadn't heard in 24 years. I mean, seriously? That's the first time you thought to say them? It's all an act. It's an act. If nothing else, they're very good actors. You can pretty much bet that it doesn't last. It's just not going to last. I remember my brother-in-law telling me that he was receiving texts from him, or actually he spoke to him on the phone at one point as well, and he went from screaming and raging to crying, I can't believe this, back to the screaming and the raging, and then the crying. I mean, you don't know what to expect. So you just have to brace yourself. You have to brace yourself and steel yourself for whatever it is that they are going to dish out, because you don't know what's coming. It's extremely unpredictable, but once you make up your mind, there's no going back. And I can assure you it's worth it. Whatever they put you through, whatever madness comes your way, it doesn't last. It can't last, because eventually they lose control. Eventually, you're no contact long enough, or eventually the divorce is final. Whatever it is, when that finality is there, there's no more control. There's nothing for them to do or say. It's over. So once you make up your mind, don't let what they say or do sway you, because it's just all an act. It's all part of it to keep you where you are. A lot of time went into controlling us. A lot of time went into that brainwashing project and getting us right where they wanted us. A lot of time and effort. I mean, we're talking years in my case. They don't want to give up that easy, because then they got to start all the way from scratch again. They got to start all over with new supply. And they really don't want to do that. This is easy. This has gotten easy. It's comfortable. It's exactly what they want. So, why ruin a good thing? They have to start all over again with somebody else. So don't believe it. Don't buy it. Go no contact, and just be prepared, because it's not going to change. And if you're, like I said, if you're on the internet and you're listening to someone like myself and you're watching videos and you're looking for information about this topic because you're dealing with somebody like that, you already know you're on your way out the door. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You're already on your way out the door. And it's a damn good thing, because nobody deserves to live the way they want us to live, and nobody deserves to be treated the way they treat us. So move on, onward and upward. I'll be coming back with another video really soon. Ciao for now.